Gotta love these old nasty chimneys. You pull up to a house, it looks all nice, you're gonna be in and out, and then you see this. Not the worst that I've ever cleaned, but not downstream worthy. So I'm gonna pull out the cheap shot, which I've already done, and we're gonna clean up this chimney. It's all the way around minus that backside, so this should not be a tough job at all. Along with the chimney are a handful of window ledges. The whole house is brick with the exception of the soffit and gutter areas. So this house will be painted next week, or at least the wooden surfaces will be. We're getting it cleaned up for these nice folks. We're going to use the cheap shot to do it. Don't go anywhere. Before we fire up the machine and get started, I want to answer a question that seems to be prevalent for those who are purchasing a cheap shot. And that is, which hose do you use? Let me just go on record and say, I highly recommend a 3/4 inch garden hose. And the garden hose that I recommend is the 3/4 inch black and blue hose from Harbor Freight. I'll put a link in the description. Now, I will tell you, I've used a number of hoses in preparation for the cheap shot, trying to get it really dialed in. And what I have come to the conclusion of is that this hose is not only the best hose that I've ever used for the cheap shot, but also for my supply hose as well. In fact, on the new rig, that'll be a new video coming up soon, I am using only the 3/4 inch Harbor Freight hose. Again, the black and blue hose. It's $69 for 100 feet. I'm using only that for both the cheap shot and also supply hose on the new build. So I highly recommend it. Some are asking about Flexilla. I love Flexilla, but it's too flexible. And the reason is the 79cc pump only produces about 60 to 70 PSI, which isn't enough PSI if there's a kink. And with the Flexilla, it's just too flexible. Therefore, I don't encourage it, at least not for this application. So once again, the 3/4 inch Harbor Freight black and blue hose, I will put a link in the description. Okay, we're gonna wash this chimney all the way around and a few window sills. We're gonna turn on the Fresh Stream remote system. I already have SH primed in the line, so we're good to go. That was just for demonstration. So we're gonna soap this down with SH really good, and then we're going to go around the house to a few window sills, freshen those up real good, then come back and rinse. So as you can see, it's just so much better than a 12 volt. The GPM that it produces is so much greater. I am shooting about a 4% on this chimney. Now, one thing you have to be aware of on most jobs when you're washing a chimney like this is not to accidentally wash the roof in a spot or two and then be forced to wash the entire thing. It has been raining really good this morning, plus I wet down the roof, so I'm not concerned about that in the least. So again, just putting some SH on here. Let's go around the house to a few window ledges and wash those while that dwells. So as you can imagine, these areas back in behind these trees gets very little sunlight. So as you can imagine, lots of algae build up here on the brick, in particular on these window sills. So we'll just spray this down, come back and rinse after letting this dwell for a little while. Now, I may have mentioned earlier that I already washed the house by downstreaming. And in the process, I noticed some of these areas like that right there, just a little darker. I'm not sure if that's the brick or if it's algae buildup, mold buildup, mildew, etc. And so because I've got the cheap shot out, and again, having it set to about 4%, we're going to go ahead and wash all of this brick. This also gives me a good opportunity to kind of showcase the capacity, the capabilities of the cheap shot. Could you do this with a 12 volt? Maybe get up that high, not sure. But with the cheap shot, it's just not an issue. You can see that area right there. All along the edge there is dark. It's good to put a heavier mix on there. Then come back with my 8 GPM machine and rinse it with maybe a Davis shooter tip or an M5 twist. That'll come right off. Here we are on the side of the house. There's that 2-story plus the peak. You can't really tell, there's a little bit of slope, so it's just a little bit higher here, or this ground is a little bit lower, which makes this peak a little bit higher. Again, no problems. That's not dirty, just showing you the capabilities. Easily getting over the peak. Do have some areas right here that has to be washed. Now, although it has rained, I still want to be very cautious with the plant life. So real quickly, I want to turn the cheap shot off with the Fresh Stream remote system. Extinguish any SH out of the line. We'll go back over these areas, and this will allow me to rinse all of these flowers where that washing created overspray, as you can see. Okay, so it takes about 40 seconds to transition from water to SH and from SH to water. We know now that we're shooting straight water, and now we can rinse all of this plant life. Once again, it has already rained. I don't know that there was much of a risk, but we have the capabilities without going all the way back to the truck. We can turn on and off the SH with the Fresh Stream remote system, so we may as well do it and cover all of our bases. Okay, we've allowed that to dwell for about 5 minutes. I have my shooter gun here with the Davis shooter tip, M5 twist, but quite honestly, I really think that the water boss is going to do just fine. We'll give it a whirl. Now, in reality, it's not nearly as dark as it looks on camera. The camera always seems to just exacerbate maybe even exaggerate the color, but nonetheless, yeah, this is more than enough to take off any of that residue. Well, you can see that coming out there. And off the top. Now I'm using here the Water Boss 750 3/8 inch gun, and I sell these on my site. I use this only with a ZK1 unloader, and I do not recommend it. I'm required to say that out of conscience, but also to keep a straight face in the community of pressure washing, because the Water Boss is not rated for more than 750 pounds. And I think I'm set at about 2,800 pounds as we speak. So I'm not going to promote the Water Boss for pressure washing with the 8 GPM machine. And yet I use it every single day and absolutely love it. Again, if you're in the market for a Water Boss 750 with the 3/8 inlet, you can find them on my site. I'll put a link in the description, readywashsystems.com. That's also where you will find the cheap shot, hose reels, the Fresh Stream remote system, and so much more. Guys, it looks practically brand new. And in person, again, those of you who make videos know this to be true. It's kind of like when you wash a driveway, and on video you see the lines, but in person you just can't see them. I don't know, it's interesting. There we go. It does seem that those who purchase a cheap shot also purchase the Fresh Stream remote system, and for the money, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute game changer. Man, that came out great. The homeowner is going to be very pleased. I will go around the house rinse those other areas, and then we'll call it quits. My next video, you're gonna love it. We moved shops. We got into a brand new shop, and it's absolutely amazing. So tune into the next video. You'll see my new shop. Mike, The Fresh Rinse. See you at the top. Don't be late.